In today's video, we continue in our sequence on hypopressive exercises, and for today's video you will need a little band. Welcome to the Flower Empowered. So we are going to begin without the band. So we're beginning today in a hook lying position. So for this, you are going to just bring yourself to lying, and you should be able to just about feel your ankles so that your ankles are in line with your sitting bones and stacked just beneath your knees, thereabouts. And from here, we're going to take our hypopressive first from just lying in this position. Then we're going to take one lying in this position with the hips lifted, and then we're going to put a band around our legs. We're going to take it in this position. We're going to lift the hips and we're going to bring one knee up. So you're going to feel that quite challenging, because to keep the body stabilized while you use the banded leg lift, it's quite a challenge. So make sure before you do this video that you try the other videos in the sequence and that you practice them regularly. Regular practice of hypopressives really can enable you to do quite a lot of different dynamic movements, and then you can get very adventurous and try your hypopressives in all sorts of places with all sorts of positions. Okay, so we start first by placing the hands along the side of the body. We're going to go for the usual. We're going to take an inhalation, exhalation, and then we inhale, we exhale, we hold the breath out, we take our apnea, and then we relax. So you'll see the apnea happening. You should feel it happening in your own body. Do use the earlier videos if you struggle to feel it. So starting with our inhalation. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale to take your apnea. We go again. So this time, really try to get all the air out of the lungs. We're going to just do one more lying in this position before we begin with the hip lifting. So, relaxing the body to start, we're going to inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale all the air out to take your apnea. Okay, now we go again, and this time, when we exhale all the air out, we take our apnea and we're going to press into the feet to lift the hips up. Now the hips, we want them to come so that they are in line with the body. So you should have one nice line all the way from your knees through your hips to your shoulders. So, taking an inhalation and exhale. Inhale for your apnea. Exhale all the air out, hold it, and take your hypopressive. As always, you want to make sure that before you breathe in again, you come back to your starting position. Allow everything to come back to the position it was in before you began your actual apnea. So we're going to do that again. So you're going to inhale, exhale, exhale, hold the breath out, take your apnea, lift your hips up nice and high, hold them there for a little moment, and then lower them down, holding the apnea the entire time. And then once you come down, allow the ribs to come back to their starting position, and then take your inhalation. So let's begin. Inhale for your apnea. Exhale and take the apnea. Okay, so now we've got that feeling for it, that sensation for it. Hopefully you're getting a good apnea. I personally feel like I'm not quite getting all my air out in these, but that's okay. Just keep trying. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great. But here, I'm not going to talk while I prepare for my apnea. So you're going to just have to remember and just do it along with me. Inhalation, exhalation, exhale completely with all the air out. Take the apnea. With that nice strong apnea, we're going to lift up the hips, and then we're going to try and hold the hips there, hold the ribs there, everything nice and stable. You can press gently into the hands, and then we're going to just lift the knee. Now this is quite a difficult thing to do. You can just try it here without holding the apnea, just to see how it feels. It's quite strong, and I have an XL, XX heavy, very strong, very tight band. Now you can go for a gentler band to start. Don't start on the super hard one. But this is really quite challenging to hold the hips up in the air and then to also take this movement with the band. So challenge yourself if you dare to do so, but do so with grace and with compassion. So don't push beyond your boundaries. If it was already really difficult to do the last one where the hips were in the air, don't add the band. Just allow yourself to come all the way up. You can even come all the way up and just try to take the toe to the floor, so without lifting the leg, because that in itself is going to already kind of do a little bit of work. Now what happens is your little glute minimus and medius will really fire when you do this. You'll feel like a really strong activation as you're doing this, but also with the combination of the apnea, this is quite hard. So we should maybe try it once without the apnea before you try it with the apnea. If you can do it without the apnea, then it's fine to try it with the apnea. So again, make sure hips, the knees are in line with the hips, the heels are underneath the knees. Everything is nice and relaxed. Your scapula are nicely pressed into the floor, and the hands are going to keep that engagement with the floor. We're going to inhale, exhale, hold the breath out, take the apnea, lift the hips, then we're going to lift the left leg, put it down, and then we're going to bring the hips down. We will then do it on the right side. And if you're okay with all of that, then you can practice this, every second day. Just put this into your little morning routine. It's not really a long sequence, so very good to practice. Okay, let's begin. And then inhale, exhale for the apnea. We're going to do the same on the other side. So start with an inhalation and an exhalation. Inhale and then exhale for your apnea. Okay, so that is, it's actually really hard to talk while doing these hypopressives. It's much easier when you practice this at home. You don't need to talk. When I practice this, typically I don't speak. But adding the bands really changes things up. It adds like an extra layer of work. So you're actually working your little gluteus muscles while you are working your core, your deep core. So, and everything does play together. Everything works together. There should be co-contractions going on when you breathe, when you move. And by doing these hypopressives, you have an opportunity to kind of really tap into those co-contractions, not just between the diaphragm and the pelvic floor, but with all of the other little muscles that participate in the business of your body's movement. If you liked this video, please feel free to like, share or comment. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and remember to talk about pelvic floor dysfunction. When we talk about these things, we can really change the way that pelvic floor dysfunction is viewed and we can break the taboo. Together we can and will make a difference.